Hello, everyone. Good evening. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Hope everyone is well. My name is Tabriz from the Amateur Football YouTube channel. And on my left, on my right, however you guys see this, I have Jamal Horn, senior referee, senior member of the London FA. How are you doing, sir?
Yeah, all good. Happy Monday to everyone.
Cool. So let's go straight into it. And again, please put your comments, any questions. And this is all about the London FA Challenge Cup, sponsored by yours truly, amateur footballer. And this video is all about the game that we watched yesterday. Yeah, yesterday. Kumasi Strikers versus Grand Athletic. Jamal, could you briefly talk about the London Challenge Cup to anyone that's not familiar with it?
Yeah, the London Sunday Challenge Cup, arguably the biggest, most prestigious Sunday competition to win, definitely in London, probably in the country. It's been dubbed the YouTube Cup because a lot of the biggest YouTube teams play in it. So winning this does make you the sort of kings of London. And yesterday we saw an excellent round of 16 tie between AFC Kumasi Strikers of the Overton and Bromley League versus Grand Athletic from the Metropolitan Sunday League. Absolutely excellent match.
Great. So again, anyone that's watching, please put in your comments, questions to myself and Jamal, and we'll try our hardest to actually answer them. But again, this is a review of the game, so let's kind of start from the beginning. Team prep. I was a little bit late. I was there before kickoff, but Jamal, you was there from the beginning. Can you talk about both teams?
Levels. Both teams put on a clinic on Sunday, before, during, and after the match. I don't think people understand what the levels are. This is what happens when there's been a sort of fallout from academy football and from the non-league, and a lot of those players come into Sunday League. The standard gets higher, and the standard isn't just in the quality of football, it's also in the preparation. I get to the ground 45 minutes before kickoff. Both teams are already stripped, setting up their warm-up. They're all getting ready for the match. Absolutely no different than a Premier League match or a National League match. That is the level of dedication and preparation it's taking now to be competitive in the Sunday Challenge Cup. It is just absolutely impressive. Sunday Challenge Cup counterparts from a decade ago, 2 decades ago, they would have been able to just about match the quality of these teams, but the preparation wouldn't have been there. There would have been people who were slightly drunk, hungover, arriving 2 minutes, 5 minutes before kickoff. Absolutely none of that. Absolutely none of that. Strolling in, thinking that they could just turn up and win. None of that. I mean, these teams were warming up. These teams were going through. You would have had, it would have absolutely looked no different than any sort of non-league or professional setup. I want to say I'm impressed because I am, but that is just the standard now.
Yeah. I echo everything that you just said now. Sunday League teams, especially at the elite level, they really take their kind of preparation really, really, really seriously. It's kind of not just coming and doing like a few stretches or, as you said before, turning up with a fag in your mouth. It's a program, it's a regime, and what I've seen is that like managers also look at the players and see how they warm up. So it's a good indication to see who's on it, who's kind of physically and mentally ready, and like the players that may need a bit of G'ing up. So yeah, I totally echo that. So let's go straight into the first half. So let's just say from the beginning that both teams had to play to the conditions. It was a pretty windy day, wasn't it?
Yeah, windy day. It was kind of a slight sort of windy day. You could feel the wind, but you didn't think it was sort of gale force wind. But then when I saw the first goal kick be taken and seeing the ball being driven and then kind of just hanging in the air, that's when you realize, wow. I know a lot of the teams in this competition play on the ground anyway, but those little things when you want to clear your lines, when you want to have a goal kick and maybe potentially turn the opposition's fullbacks, that wind was difficult for both sides.
Yeah. I found Grand Athletic probably in the first, say, 15 minutes really kind of dictating play. They literally had the wins on their back, so literally they were shooting with the wins, which kind of helped. And they really kind of dictate the play, especially on Grand's left. That's Kumasi's right. They were really potent. Didn't really kind of give Kumasi a lot of time to actually settle. I think Kumasi, I would say definitely struggled in the first 15 minutes, just literally just trying to clear their lines. And what I found, and again, this is like something that I've realized very, very, very quickly is you can kind of watch a team on YouTube like Grand Athletic, but until you actually see them play live, you literally don't know exactly how kind of good of a footballing team they are. And they kind of kept the ball really, really well. They like recycled when they kind of had to. They literally attacked with aggression, and they like really caused Kumasi problems.
Yeah, it was a typical sort of, for all the football lovers and the sort of people who love tactics. It was a team who is very capable of dictating the pace versus another team that reacts very well to the other team's strengths. So that's why Grand Athletic were able to score early in both halves, and Kumasi were able to equalize because it was exactly that. Their manager, their leaders in their team got the team ready to compete from the beginning. AFC Kumasi were prepared as well, but there's levels to it. Okay, they were prepared 7 or 8 out of 10. Grand were at 9.5. They were ready, and that's why they deservedly took the lead. And they went out there with that pace, with a clear game plan, and the win definitely assisted with that. And that's what it was. When Kumasi clearly have a few players in the team, especially in the engine of the team, who read the game well enough to use their football IQ well enough to understand, wait a second, we're being overrun here. What changes can we make? They made those changes and started to then make the most of Grand Athletics' weaknesses, and then they were able to equalize.
I didn't see the first goal because I think I was talking to you at the time. So I didn't actually get it on camera, but when I kind of looked quickly, it seemed like the ball squirmed underneath the Kumasi striker's goal, like keeper's hands or something. It was kind of it looked like a soft goal. But I mean, again, that was just relentless pressure. That was, if you're knocking on the door, eventually you are going to knock it down. And as you kind of said before, I think Kumasi did like start off slow, but they got into it, in the kind of latter stages of the first half, and they equalized, right?
That's correct. Yeah, they equalized. And things got interesting there because whenever someone scores first, the next goal is massive, and people always say, "Oh, the next goal is massive. The next goal is massive." But I just think when Grand Athletic had a chance to really take a sort of proper stranglehold on the match, Kumasi were like, "Wait a second, we're still here. This is the London Cup. We want this as bad as you. Here's proof. Watch this." So when they equalized, I don't even know what I'm surprised. But sometimes when you see these kids celebrate, it really does remind you that this is not a joke.
Not a joke, man.
It really isn't a joke. These players are taking it. People always took this, all the London Cups very seriously, but I'm seeing certain things I'm not sure we've ever seen before. I think people need to understand something special might be happening here.
And when you seeing the goalkeeper also come up to actually celebrate, that it means something 100%. And another thing that I saw at the back end of the first half, of course, Kumasi were in the ascendancy. there was like, you know, a few squabbles with, you know, with the kind of, you know, grand athletic guys. They were well, not blaming each other, but, you know, you could see that there was a miscommunication. And, you know, and I kind of firmly believe, I think if the half was another 5 or 10 minutes, I think probably Kumasi would have scored again, because again, you could see that there was a bit of disjointedness. And again, that's what Kumasi do. Like they kind of cause like mayhem. They kind of cause you to actually think. And you know, you've like got to stay together as a team and as a squad to actually kind of get through those kind of difficult times. Let's actually, before we go to the second half, I just want to show you guys a quick clip. Well, not apologies. I mean, of course, it's not edited, so it's just a quick clip that I filmed from like yesterday's game. Oh, that was great.
Chase. Go wide, go Ola. Go Ola. Come on. Forward, get up.
Okay, so you could just hear the wind, but again, you know, exactly what we said before. You know, Grand just kept the ball really, really well, and that, you know, they were really just trying to kind of suffocate Kumasi, especially in the first half with the conditions. And again, please, guys, you know, if there's any questions or comments, please kind of put them in the comment box, and we will try our hardest to answer them. So let's go straight to the second half. Jamal, what did you see in the second half that was interesting?
More of the same. Grand Athletic were able to start the game similarly how they did in the first half. They were kind of pushed forward. They kind of had. It's so interesting to see how the manager and the leaders of the team, how they respond at halftime. Grand kind of really got a real professional balance of having a bit of an inquest how that goal was conceded, but doing so in a manner that wasn't sort of destructive, much more constructive. And the manager really got into them to say, keep pushing, keep fighting. What can we do in the second half? And that clearly transmitted in the sort of first 5-10 minutes of the second half performance. And they went 2-1 up, and deservedly so. And it's just interesting. And I remember one of them sort of celebrating. I said, it's interesting, you know, clearly you know how to start a match properly, but who could be surprised about that? I get to the ground 45 minutes before kickoff, and they're already stripped and warming up. I know Kumasi were as well. I'm just saying, this isn't that typical Sunday league football anymore. That isn't what the Challenge Cup is for. I don't even think that's what the trophy is for, and that's not even what the juniors for anymore. Once you get to the latter stages of the competition, you know, these teams are just so athletically ready and prepared. And that clearly showed. So once again, it must have been tough for Kumasi. You start on the back foot. You're sort of too good to get put on the back foot properly. You then restore parity, you equalize, and before you blink, second half starts, you're on the back foot again. So that must have been psychologically difficult for AFC Kumasi. But they overcome that. Equalized, and then took the lead. I mean, James has got to be proud of his boys. Clearly, he's able to get a reaction out of his boys, because a lot of teams, I just think when Grand Athletic scored early on, it could have been very, very easy for it to go 3-1, 4-1, 5-1, you know, and for them to turn that around was really, really impressive.
Yeah. No, I mean, you know, I was literally trying to record the halftime team talk, and I know with Grand Athletic, you know, I was kind of hearing it's like, well, okay, well, we played the better football, but we didn't take our chances. This is like a chance. Well, this is now where we've got to dig in. And then I went over to the Kumasi side, and like they were like, look, we've like been here before, we know what we're doing. Now like we have the wind, play to the conditions, feed off our front three, and we will literally get something. And like second half, man, it was more of the same. Like the energy levels, the like footballing ability, people were mixing it up. It was a joy to watch, and there was times where I was actually watching the game rather than actually filming. Again, Grand scored, and again, I like that time, like I thought, okay, the next goal. Personally, I thought like the next goal, I'd actually see like the winner. Even though Grand went 2-0, I knew that there was going to be more like goals in it, and I kind of knew that the next goal was going to be the most important goal. Kumasi got it, 1-1, and again, you could just see, I'd say, more like of the experience from like Kumasi. Like, let's be real, like Kumasi are still the Alberton and Bromley champions. Mm-hmm. So, you don't get that title by kind of doing like things half-heartedly. Mm-hmm. And again, they kind of went and kind of got the third goal. And I kind of thought, they were literally gonna get the fourth or fifth. But I have to give it to Grand Athletic. These guys are athletes. They just kept on plugging away. They were literally just trying to find weaknesses around the Kumasi back four. And again, fair play. They kind of literally got that equalizer. And then it was just such an open game. I couldn't even imagine playing in a kind of game like that.
It's one of those games where you find out who you really are. I think for both teams, especially Grand, as they're progressing, they have to be proud of their team and all their sort of spare parts, so to speak, because that was a game where if any of the players didn't stand up and been counted, you're going to get beaten. And when that game was in full flow, especially when they were chasing the game, trying to equalize, it's just like everyone was really pulling their weight. So, Grand have to be proud of that. And I see Osh over there. Osh is
listen,
talking that game. Osh, listen, Osh, easy.
Listen, that's big talk, man. Hey, like we're not exactly what you like said to me. You said every single team that are now in this round, like anyone can actually win it. So hey, like why not Grand? Why not Grand?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting. It will be interesting. I do think there are a few teams who have overall a slightly stronger squad and a slightly better squad and a more experienced squad than Grand. However, when you're actually in a match and you're in a match like yesterday's match, sometimes that extra bit of quality and experience doesn't really count because you're dealing with a side who are quite athletic, who can play the game, and as you can tell, aren't really afraid of losing. Because it's interesting, when Kumasi took the lead and there is a good 10-15 minute period where the game can get very mental, very psychological. Never looked as if Grand Athletic actually believed they were going to be knocked out. Now, you can say the same for Kumasi. Well, yeah, of course, both teams felt like they were going to lose. That's why it was such a great game. But for all the teams who I feel should be beating teams like Grand Athletic, that's why you should be worried about them, because they at no point did they look afraid of losing. It was like, okay, we're losing. Come. All right, let's put the work in now. Come. And it was like that from the players. It was like that from the baby mothers. It was like that from the coaches on the sideline. Everyone had that attitude like, no, we're putting this work in. And when they equalized, it was no surprise. That's no disrespect to AFC Kumasi, but it's that Grand Athletic. If we have that many players with that type of attitude, they're going to be difficult to beat.
Definitely. And one thing I would like to say, I think Kumasi would be very annoyed in terms of how they conceded the third goal from a corner. I think there was 2 phases of play. I've seen it a couple of times on my camera, and yeah, they literally pride themselves of being really good defenders, and they'd be really, really annoyed. But again, credit to Grand Athletic. They were alert. They reacted to the second ball, and they had the composure to actually again pull it in at 3-2 down. That literally was the pivotal moment.
Well, I know Kumasi are knocked out now, but Grand Athletic need to be careful because you conceded 3 goals in a match, and you concede 3 goals. Not many teams can concede 3 goals in the Sunday Challenge Cup and are able to live to talk about it. Now they need to understand SC Dons haven't conceded a goal in the London Cup yet. Kennywell has conceded 1 goal in 3 matches. AFC Brixton has conceded 2 goals in 3 matches. So that's something they need to look at. That's something that the leaders in their team, their manager needs to look at. Because if they concede 3 goals again, they're going home. It's as simple as that. And I know anyone can concede 3 goals. Bayern Munich, PSG, anyone can. But that's something they have to look at, because I'm telling you now, they concede 3 goals again, they're going home.
Cool. So before we go to the next bullet point, I just want to show you guys another video. And again, apologies. It's just literally what I picked up. Let's go straight to this one.
Send him back all the way. Go, boys.
Clever foul.
I actually love that clip, because for all the football people out there, 2 things there. One, in that clip, there's just no space on the pitch.
No space, man.
No, it wasn't the widest pitch, but it doesn't matter. That's the level of energy and effort in the press that's being put. Secondly, in that clip, that is classic reason why so many coaches spend so much time in possession football. So many people play so much 5-a-side football or futsal, or if you have the Arsene Wenger mentality and split the pitch into grids. That pitch, Grand Athletic put those 2 Kumasi players in a 4-player grid, and that was 2v4. Now, technically, Kumasi played their way out through the foul, but they were completely trapped. And that is why you have to focus on those sort of things. People think, oh, yeah, level aside, yeah. No, it needs to be tight touch. Any loose touches yesterday will get you giving away possession. You give away possession, giving away a foul. And, I watched the under-the-radar match, the Kazilla match, the SC Dons Lamb of All-Stars match. It's all the same. It's basically several 3-a-side and 5-a-side matches taking place on an 11-a-side pitch. That's what it's all about right now.
Yeah, 100%. So the next point is the penalties. So there was a bit of a discussion, I believe, on the halfway line in terms of where the penalties were going to take place. And the referee, I'm not going to argue with the referee. He said, it's only the players who are players who were actually part of the game. There was no media on the pitch, so I had to stand behind the goal. It was Kumasi that took the first penalty. Right? Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And what I saw is the Grand Athletic keeper, and I don't know his name. I think his name's Jordan, I believe, or Jord. Apologies. He's a big guy. He's kind of very imposing. He was kind of very, very active on his line. And he kind of pulled off a really, really, really good first save. I don't know in terms of what like you saw from like literally your angle, but like how did you feel about like the first penalty?
Yeah, I remember Grand's reaction to it. The second that happened, I was like, Kumasi are really up against it, because penalties have nothing to do with footballing ability, nothing with how you strike a ball. And I think what coaches need to focus more on their young players is that ability to handle pressure, because that's what it all is. We've seen some of the best players in the world miss penalties. They're the best player in the world. How are they missing penalties? It's the inability to handle pressure. And I just felt like the response to that first save gave all the Grand penalty takers such a big lift.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go. And from then, yeah, I was right. Yeah, it was a decent save. I mean, you can ask the holders, Land of All Stars, Last Life. They've already had to win on penalties to get to the match they're playing on Wednesday. And that's the Kings of London. The odds of winning the London Cup without having to have at least one penalty shootout, very, very unlikely. And once again, in terms of preparation, Grand seemed to be slightly better prepared for the penalties than Kumasi.
Yeah. And so Grand scored there first. Kumasi missed their first, was it 2 or 3?
I thought they missed the first 3. See, I actually thought the penalty score was 4-1. So I actually updated the system saying 4-1. But the ref, and I think one of the teams, put it in as 4-2.
4-2. Yeah,
I thought they missed the first 3, but I've been wrong before. So maybe. Yeah,
I mean, but they can definitely miss like the first 2. And like the second save was even better. He kind of had to get down low to his left. And again, as you said before, it's all about the mentality. Who's kind of got like the nerves of steel to to actually pull it away. I know, again, this is probably something that I'm going to probably talk about later on. I know that there was I don't know if there was a bit of a complaint regarding like the goalkeeper's position. I wouldn't really like to say, but literally, I know that there was kind of something happening. But credit to the Grand Athletic keeper. Made some great saves, and Grand Athletic really just kind of coolly slotted everything away. So big shout out. They like
so George, so they missed the first 2. All right, they missed the first. It makes sense because I was working it out. See, they missed the first 3, then Grand missed 1.
Grand missed 1.
Did they make all 4?
No, they actually scored all 4. I don't think they missed
all 4. All right.
Yeah. So okay, they like missed the first 2. Michelle Holmes was just put in. UTR any good? You've actually seen them play live, Jamal. What?
Yeah, so I've seen Under the Radar twice this season. I saw them in their charity match against SC Dons, and I've seen them in their round of 32 London Cup match against Kizilirmak, the Turkish team. And I'm going to go watch them again against AFC Hammersmith Town on Sunday. Really good, very well organized, very athletic. And they have about 2 or 3 players that I would regard as quite special who could be match winners. So, they've come out of nowhere. I know people sort of know them because of FIFA Manny. Manny's still recovering from injury, and that team are still a contender. AFC Hammersmith Town are the London Sunday Trophy champions. They've been to back-to-back London finals. They will have a really, really good squad as well. And that game on Sunday will be absolutely no different than the Kumasi and Grand match last Sunday. So, but to answer Michelle's question, yes, UTR, in my opinion, seen them twice in the past month or so, genuine London Cup contenders.
Cool. So let's go on to the next point: key players. And again, apologies, I don't know players' names, so I'm just going to go by shirt numbers. So let me start. So then literally, if I kind of get like a name wrong, then someone can correct me. And or like Jamal, you can kind of say something. So what I noticed straight from the start was the Grand Athletic. I think his number was 98, the central midfielder.
Okay.
I think it was 98. Absolute beast. He literally controlled the game, very strong, very athletic. He read the game well. A really good passer of the ball. And he kind of kept everything, I won't say ticking, but he was kind of like how if you kind of clean the floor and then and then you hoover it, and then like you might go over it with a fine-tooth comb, like that was like literally that was kind of his like job. But again, he was kind of very, very, very very tidy. Someone else as well, and again, this is just me, because I've like seen a few Grand Athletic games on like YouTube, but like seeing them live, it's a different story. I want to kind of shout out Chase. Chase, I didn't realize how good of a player he was until I saw him. I thought he was just a tackler, a headerer, just someone that's dirty, and like he is that type of player. Like he kind of doesn't back away from anything. But again, a very tidy player. Like a player that knows his position. Great engine. Like a great talker as well. An influence on the team. Literally, I thought he was really, really, really good. For Kumasi, I think his number was 7. I think Nobby, or again, apologies if I kind of if I kind of got it wrong. A cracking left foot. The ability to kind of drift inside and out with acceleration and control, absolutely amazing. He was a kind of constant fawn for like Grand. He was kind of really, really unlucky not to have got a few more goals. Victor, I thought, played well up front for Kumasi. Again, like a willing runner, always in the move. Great feet as well. And I've got a shout out to the centre backs. But, even though it was 3-3, I've got a shout out. Literally, honestly, I've got a shout out that there's like both sets of centre backs. They kind of played really well. They were kind of commanding. Again, ball playing centre backs. Players that just don't want to head and kick. They can literally play ball. So those are my few. I mean, I don't know if you've got any.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing that kind of stood out was, I think Sunday League, even the Challenge Cup, has always been about having 4 or 5 good players, and then having a few players that aren't quite good enough or slightly passengers, and whoever had the fewest passengers would usually sort of win. I didn't see any passengers on Sunday. I didn't see any players that don't belong at that level or can't play at that level. Everyone seemed to sort of pull their weight. So I felt that was the most impressive thing for me. I didn't pay enough attention to numbers. Victor for Kumasi stood out because he was kind of up front on his own. The work rate was there. Had a bad touch, had a bad pass, didn't care. Still kept his head up, still had a smile on his face. Those sort of players are always difficult to play against. I didn't get his number, but the player that really stood out for me for Kumasi was one of the center midfielders, stocky, sort of heavy-set player. I think he had some sort of plats, like a volcano sort of shaped plats. I felt like he was a box in the middle, man. He was very, very difficult. He was always breaking up play. He made life for Grand. I should have caught his name. Was it number 8? Yeah, I'm not sure. Yeah. He really was the driving force of them sort of equalizing and taking the lead. He was kind of the enforcer in the middle. Those two stood out for me for AFC Kumasi. For Grand Athletic, Warren Morgan, I've refereed him a few times. I can't remember where, but he definitely plays at non-league. He's didn't have the sort of best game on Sunday, but that sort of player, he knows how to play. He knows how to play at a decent level. Knows how to raise the energy and read the game quite well, and how to defend. Also, Cadel Daniel, he stood out as well. I've refereed him several times at Charlton Athletic. I think it was at Dover as well. I'm not sure. But once again, he's another one of those players. He doesn't really need to play well to be effective. He can give the ball away, make bad passes, heavy touch. He'll get the ball again. That's where the true confidence comes in. You got a bad touch. I think he tried to take a player on 1v1. He over dribbled, took a heavy touch. 2 minutes later, got on the ball, took him on again. And when they were pushing that pressure late in the game, those are the sort of players that really drive you on. It's like, and he's constantly creating chances, constantly creating problems for Kumasi. So yeah, those sort of players stood out for me. It'd be interesting to see how those players perform in the next round. Obviously, we're doing the draw next week. I really can't wait to see who's going to be because it'd be really interesting. I mean, there's just so many matchups. I don't think, obviously, we had 61 teams enter the Sunday Challenge Cup this season. Looking at the results, there's a lot of tight score lines. There weren't any sort of 8-0, 7-0 at all. There were a lot of one-goal wins. We've had a few penalty shootouts as well. So it'd be really interesting to see who Grand get. I would love to see them play against AFC Brixton because they're a very athletic side, very well set up side. I think those teams would be evenly matched. I would love to see them play against Kenningwell. Kenningwell clearly defend well. They only conceded 1 goal in 3 matches in the London Cup so far. I think those would be some really good matchups to see how Grand would play against those sort of teams. But it's down to the draw. I'm not fixing the draw at all. I'm just clicking a button, and what comes out, comes out. One thing that I want for the draw as well, I want to have at least 1 or 2 members from each club who are in the hat for the quarterfinals. And after the draw is done, I want to speak to, sort of 1 member from each club. So for those of you listening at Grand Athletic, let me know who you would like to sort of talk to us about the draw next week, because I think that it'd be great to hear from you as a club and see what you think, hear what you think about the draw and how far in the cup you think you can go.
Cool. Let's talk about the 12th man sideline. So you was positioned with the Grand Athletic guys because you was kind of doing like a few things. So could you kind of talk about what you saw and literally how you felt on that side of the pitch?
That game meant a lot to Grand. Not to say that it didn't for Kumasi, it clearly did for them as well. But that game meant a lot. The manager, the subs, Grand. I'm not gonna act like they're the best team I've ever seen. All I'm saying is they have a lot of attributes in that team that a lot of teams should be very worried about. People are getting subbed and running off the pitch and clapping on the person going on, and a lot of people, when they get subbed, they get changed, they leave, they take the boots off. The players who got subbed for Grand, 1 or 2 might have changed, but once again, they're right on the edge of the touchline, kicking every ball, heading every ball. I mean, the manager was up and down the line. When you have that many people who are dialed in on winning, it's scary. It's scary. I'm serious. It's scary. And I understand under the radar will be the same. SC Dons will have a bagger man on the sideline do the same. I get it. I'm just saying, I'm not sure the London Cup has ever had where every single team, to have the minimum, you now need to be at the match 45 minutes beforehand, stretching, warming up. You need to have a manager who has a high football IQ and understands his players. You got to have several players, 14, 15 players who are willing to play out of position or not start the match. I think I was speaking to one of the Grand subs. He didn't start. He's sort of laying down on his phone, but you can tell he's still kind of interested in the game. And when he came on and he was at speed. He was ready. When you have players with that sort of attitude, teams are going to be hard to beat. I just know certain from a different team, a sub like, oh man, I'm not starting. Oh, I hope you lose. He's playing instead of me. There was none of that from Grand. It was love. dangerous team, man. Dangerous team from the setup to the way they play. Serious.
Yeah, I was kind of floating in between both sidelines, and yeah, again, I can kind of echo in terms of what you've said. The like manager was a very active, very straight talking. You know, he like demanded a lot from like his team. Like he was constantly talking, and I'd say some like players can respond to that, but what I saw from Grand Athletic is that everyone knew exactly what they wanted to do. You know, everyone was listening, and you know, everyone was literally listening to like their instructions. Kumasi as well, like the same thing. You know, up and down that touchline, encouragement, instructions. You know, they were kind of literally talking about certain like things that like they were even doing in the warm up and you know and in kind of other games. And again, this is literally what separates good from great. When you know when like players can listen to what the manager's saying or what the sideline's saying and still focus on the game and then execute exactly what the manager wants. That's literally separates good from great. And again, very active. One of the Kumasi centre backs' dad was actually watching, giving like his advice as well. So you know, it was a family affair.
People don't understand that. You know that's why a lot of the Turkish teams and the Greek teams do well. A team doesn't win the London Cup. Not even a club wins the London Cup. It takes a community to win a London Cup. I know it sounds cliche, it sounds cheesy, but ask Lambeth All Stars, ask Kenningwell, ask Olympia and Dunlopina, these sort of serial London Cup winners over the years. You know, it takes more, and that's kind of what it was like with both teams on Sunday. You know, Grand Athletic, they only had sort of 3 or 4 subs, but yet there's like 15, 16 people on the sideline. So that means there's some people who have no chance of playing. There's some people who, aren't a coach or a manager. They're just there supporting the mandem, supporting the communities. And that's what it'll take. That's what it takes. People don't understand that. And for all those sort of clubs, Lambeth All Stars and sort of SE Dons are kind of flying that flag right now in terms of SE Dons are just making it clear. It takes a whole community to be successful. And Grand Athletic are doing the same thing, albeit to a different sort of scale. But it'd be interesting for the quarterfinals, the semifinals as well. This can't be we'll get everyone to come support us when we get to the final. If you won't get there. You know, for that quarterfinal, there needs to be a ring around the pitch. SC Dons Lambeth last year, there was a ring around the pitch. I could only stand behind the goal. I'm running the competition, by the way. And I can't even see the match. You know, there's people everywhere. Now, I don't expect everyone to have that level of support. I'm just saying, you know, the London Cup is over now. It's quarterfinals now. You know, it's not a joke. You know, it takes a community to win the competition. If you don't understand that, you're probably going to learn the hard way.
Yeah. So before we go to the next point, I just want to add another video to the stream.
Forward run! Forward run straight! Okay, unlucky.
Okay. And again, watch out for the edited version coming out real soon. And again, that was just like a very short clip, but even like in that clip, you could see it was going back and forth. It was just end to end. There was literally no respite for like anyone. Like there's exactly what you said before. There's no passengers. There's what I'm saying, like this is like, and again, no disrespect. This is like no Ryanair flight. Like you're like talking Virgin, you're talking Emirates. You know what I'm saying? Like you're like going to the Caribbean, you're kind of going to Dubai. Like you are actually flying first class. So again, shout out to like everyone that actually played yesterday. Match officials, I will let you drive this one.
I'm a happy man. I run a competition. I went to a match. I saw two teams who were evenly matched, well played, in a great spirit. There was no fighting, no red cards, no off the ball, none of that. And once again, all I say to the match officials before every match is make sure the team who gets knocked out can't blame you for losing. And no one could ever blame the 3 match officials. And I sent a young team of officials there because if you're good enough, you're old enough. And all 3 officials sort of competed and officiated the match excellently. And it was a close match. That is a sort of scary match to officiate, because literally one throw-in decision, one offside decision could send a team home, and they officiated excellently. Really, really happy.
Yeah. I thought they did really, really well. I think there was a bit of I think it was a first half. I believe it was Grand's. I want to say number 7. Well, I've said number 7 now, but I think it was that one. There was that one player that was mouthing off to the ref, and he could have easily got sin binned. Very, very, very easy. And the Grand guys were just trying to cool him down, but he was kind of listening. But I think he was just trying to test the water to see exactly where he could push the ref and see exactly
that isn't the kind of game. Listen, sin bin is a very, very serious situation because it is what it is. It's a temporary sending off, and that's why its technical term isn't temporary dismissal. So I mean, people need to understand. Whoever would have lost a player for that match would have went home. The game was way too tight, 11v11, to give another team a player advantage. Far too much. And but as for the officials, really proud of the officials. I'm not surprised at all. These are officials that I train and keep in touch with quite often. I think the combined age, I shouldn't even say it out loud. I remember one of the grand athletic players asked the Lino, Lino, how old are you? And I remember speaking to the Lino immediately, said, hey, don't answer that. And then one of the players was like, raw, I was trying to give him a compliment, but my man said he can't answer it. I think the combined, I don't even think they're 55 between the 3 of them.
Wow.
The combined age, but once again, I have so many good up and coming young officials, and 3-3 with penalty. I mean, that's as difficult as a game gets. I know both teams showed excellent discipline. All the tackles were measured. Everyone was trying to play football, and so the players have to get the bulk of the credit as well. But I know a lot of officials who could have ruined that match by either getting involved a little bit too much, making a few incorrect judgment calls. But those officials, really proud of the officials, really proud of both teams. I'm really proud of the club officials. I mean, what's an advert? We've got to stop allowing games like that without being sort of broadcasted, because if that was an SC Dons match that ended like that, it would have got 250,000 views. And at the sort of next level, we've got to promote the London Cup too, because that game, I was looking forward to watching that game more than the Carabao Cup final.
Yeah, me too.
As decent as Man City played, this game was way more exciting.
Yep.
So but really proud of the match officials, really happy.
Yeah, no, again, my favorite word today, echo. I echo your comments. The referee kept up with play, really, really fit. Then again, it's really good to have a ref that's keeping up with play. And even though I was a little bit ticked off, but I totally understood. Like the referee said to me, "No, you can't come onto the pitch." I'm like, I want to record the. He's like, "No, come off the pitch." I have to respect that. Even though I was a little bit ticked off, I'm like, you know what? He's the ref. There's nothing. So he kind of stamped his authority there, and like he kind of did really, really well. But like, is it? You don't call them linesmen now. It's the what's the correct word for linesman?
You can call them lino, but you have to call them referees because that's gender neutral, and also they are an assistant referee because if the referee was to get injured or incapacitated, they would actually take over as one of them would take over as referee, so that they don't just run the line; they have to actually assist the referee. So you can call them line, but never call them lines, man. The correct is assistant referee.
Assistant referees, both assistant our referees did a really good job. Of course, like people are gonna say he's off and but again, after the game, there was no kerfuffle. There was no one coming up to the ref and saying you cost us this. Hey, like they just did their job. They just literally did the job, and that's literally what everyone wants from officials from Sunday League to the elite level. No one really
listen. Sunday League has been recorded and broadcasted more than ever, and I watch a good amount of it. And certain leagues are restricted in the talent of referees they have available, so they can only appoint what they have. But they need to understand the level of fitness, the level of ability is very high, especially for the elite Sunday League level, and that means the referees need to be of that standard as well. So that's why in the London Cup, the referees have to be fit. They have to be active. It's not necessarily about age. I have some older referees. Obviously, I put 2 teenagers and someone in their early 20s in this match. But you've got to be fit to keep up with these games. You have to be, and they're being recorded. I mean, come on.
Yeah, so true, so true. The London FA Challenge Cup draw. You can briefly mentioned the draw happening on Tuesday. Time to be confirmed. But how excited are you now? This is quarterfinals now. How excited are you to like draw those names out of a hat or on computer, however you like do it, and actually see who's actually facing who?
It's not even excitement. I'm really pleased and I'm really happy for teams because I know what this means. I know what it's like to sort of be a player, and when the draw comes out the hat, the nerves. And I remember speaking to Grand Athletic. I asked 4 or 5 of them, like, who do you want the next round, sort of thing. And some were just like, whoever. I think 1 or 2 of them, no, I want SC Dons. And another player was like, no, we want them in the final. We don't want them now, that kind of thing. But the bottom line is, for the quarterfinal, it's the quarterfinal. Don't watch names. Don't watch names. So whichever name you respect, if you're Grand Athletic, say there's 7 SC Dons left, or there's 7 under the radars left, or whatever, because at this stage of the competition, don't watch names. Everyone is good. Everyone will have at least 2 or 3 ex-academy or ex-professional players, several non-league players, or players of non-league ability in their team. Everyone is good now. Everyone is good now. To think that either Panathinaikos or SC Dons or AFC Hammersmith or Under the Radar, 2 of those 4 teams will be going home on Sunday. Lambeth All-Stars are playing Hatcham, who basically have a whole non-league team now playing. They're playing on Wednesday. So one of those 2 teams will be going home. So, as far as I'm concerned, there's 3 contenders that won't even be making it to the quarterfinal hat. So that's where we are. That's where we are. It's a serious competition. A Grand have to be pleased because they're in the hat. So far in the hat, I believe we have AFC Brixton, we have Kenningwell, we have Mile End, Beatties. I think we have M Boys as well. M Boys have knocked out Rising Ballers. Now they've knocked out Gower, who got to the final last season.
Imagine. Wow,
M Boys are making a pretty big statement. I know people were like, oh, well, Gower aren't strong this year. They've lost a lot of league games. Cool, but, M Boys didn't beat them 1-0. They beat them 4-0. So this is a serious competition. If you don't know already, this is a serious competition, and we are at the serious stage of it.
Cool. Thank you for everyone that's been watching. Thank you to all of the comments. Jamal, I want to thank you as well. And you know what? You're actually looking pretty good with that t-shirt on. I just kind of like to say. But again, guys, watch out for the date for the London Cup. Either myself or Jamal will actually put it on our social media channels. Again, guys, have a great week. Happy Monday. I salute everyone that's in the Challenge Cup. I salute Jamal for getting it organized. I salute everyone that's just loves grassroots football. Listen, this is a cup competition that everyone wants to win. No one wants to go home spending crazy amounts of money traveling from north to south to east to west London without coming home with a trophy. You're going to look at your partner and think, I've spent all this time, and what have you got for it? Come on, you know what? Guys, go and win the trophy. Go and get that medal. Go and shake Jamal's hand afterwards and say thank you. That's what we're here for. So please, guys, please like, subscribe to Jamal's Instagram channel, which is at the bottom. Also, the London FA. If you kind of like these type of conversations, go and like subscribe to the YouTube channel. I do kind of things that are similar to like this as well. So honestly, guys, thank you so much. Have a great Monday. I will speak to you guys later. Peace.